My friends, we are standing at the edge of a brand new year 2025, and while the world shouts for your attention, feeds you the noise of comparison, distraction, and pressure, I'm here to remind you of one quiet, powerful truth. You are not called to chase everyone else's path. You are not born to mirror the lives of people on your screen. You are here today because you have a purpose that is specific, sacred, and yours alone. So in this year ahead, focus only on yourself, not selfishly, but intentionally, not with pride, but with clarity, not to isolate, but to align. Asterisk music swells slightly, then quiets. You are the only one who can walk your journey, and if you'll trust that voice inside, the one God placed deep in you, you'll find that 2025 doesn't need to be loud or perfect or flashy. It just needs to be yours. There's a sobering truth that every soul must come to grips with, whether through joy or through trial. And it is this: no one else is coming to do the work for you. No one else can live your life. No one else can carry your calling, and no one else can fulfill what God placed within you. The responsibility of your personal growth, your spiritual maturity, your emotional health, your discipline, your healing, your calling, rests on your shoulders, and while that might feel heavy, it's actually the most freeing truth you'll ever embrace. You see, we live in a world where it's easy to shift blame, easy to say, if only they had supported me, or if I had a better family, better friends, a better background, I'd be further ahead by now. It's tempting to look outward and point fingers when things aren't where we want them to be. But here's the thing: as long as we make other people responsible for where we are, we also make them responsible for where we're going. And the moment you do that, you give away your authority. God didn't create you to live a life dependent on other people's approval, direction, or validation. He created you with the full capacity to grow, to rise, to heal, and to thrive through Him, regardless of what people did or didn't do. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to rescue, recognize, or motivate you is the moment your real life begins. Some of us spend years waiting for the right person to come into our lives, waiting for a mentor to show us the path, waiting for someone to say, "You've got what it takes." But growth doesn't wait. Life doesn't pause while you decide whether or not you believe in yourself. The truth is, most of the time, the world won't give you permission. You'll have to move forward in faith. You'll have to decide to take that first step, even when no one claps. Even when no one sees, there comes a point in your life where you must look in the mirror, not with judgment, but with responsibility. You have to ask, what am I doing with what I've been given? You may not have started with much. You may not have had the best foundation, but you do have this moment. You do have breath in your lungs. You do have access to wisdom and grace and truth. And that means you have everything you need to grow. Not all at once, not perfectly, but consistently and intentionally. There is a sacredness to self-responsibility that many people avoid because it demands that we stop hiding. Growth asks you to stop making excuses, to stop saying, "This is just who I am," and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" It asks you to stop replaying the past and start planting for the future. Growth requires humility, a willingness to admit where you've fallen short, and a willingness to get back up and keep going. And here's the good news: you don't have to do it alone. God never asked you to grow yourself apart from Him. He asked you to abide in Him. That's where true growth happens. When you stay close to the one who created you, you begin to reflect His nature. You begin to think with clarity, walk with purpose, and live with peace. But He won't force you. He won't drag you into maturity. He invites you. He equips you. But you still have to choose. You have to choose to get in the Word when you'd rather scroll. You have to choose to speak life over yourself when your mind is full of lies. You have to choose to forgive even when you're still hurting. You have to choose to discipline your time when no one's watching. You have to choose to grow, not because anyone is making you, but because you've seen what staying stuck costs, and the cost is high. When you avoid responsibility, you also avoid progress. You delay the healing you could have started. You postpone the peace you were meant to experience. You put your purpose on hold, and maybe you're not doing it out of laziness. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe you're tired. Maybe life has knocked the wind out of you more than once. But hear this, you still have more in you. You're not done, you're not too far gone, and you are not too late. Growth doesn't always look like big leaps. Sometimes it's choosing to get up early and pray. Sometimes it's saying no to a distraction you used to say yes to. Sometimes it's having the hard conversation. Sometimes it's resting when you used to run from stillness. And in those small, unseen choices, you begin to build a life that reflects the person God always saw in you. You may not see the results overnight, but growth is not instant, it's intentional. Seeds don't bloom the moment they're planted, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Every time you take responsibility for your soul, your time, your choices, something shifts. Something strengthens, something aligns. People may not always notice. You might not get applause or recognition, but that's not why you grow. You grow because you refuse to waste what God put inside you. You grow because you're called to more. You grow because you've realized that being stuck hurts more than being stretched. So as you move through this year, let this be the truth that guides you. You are responsible for your growth. Not your pastor, not your spouse, not your parents, not your job, you, and that's not a burden. It's a blessing. It means you don't have to wait for anyone else to change for your life to move forward. You are not helpless. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are capable of growth, and with God's help, this can be the year you stop just surviving and start truly becoming. There is a quiet, invisible force that robs people every single day, not of material possessions, but of peace, purpose, and clarity. It doesn't announce itself loudly, and it rarely causes an immediate collapse. No, this thief is subtle. It creeps in slowly and silently through glances, scrolls, and side-eyes. It grows in the shadow of someone else's success, and it feeds on your attention. That thief is comparison. You may not even realize it at first. One moment you're feeling grateful, you're focused, you're making progress. Then suddenly someone posts their breakthrough or celebrates a milestone or casually shares a moment of joy that reminds you of what you feel you're still waiting for. And something inside you shifts. What once felt like a blessing now feels like a burden. What once looked like growth now looks like failure. The path that felt right begins to feel slow. And instead of walking confidently in your assignment, you begin drifting towards someone else's. But here's the truth. Comparison is not harmless. It doesn't just make you feel a little insecure. It doesn't just distract you for a moment. It derails you. It pulls you out of your divine lane and tries to convince you that your calling is only valuable if it looks like someone else's. And in doing so, it robs the world of the unique contribution only you can bring. God didn't create you to be a copy. You were never meant to mirror someone else's journey. And the moment you begin measuring your pace against another person's timeline, you lose sight of the grace that was assigned to your life. You start to despise what makes you different. You ignore the gifts that don't seem to shine the way someone else's do. You question decisions that were once grounded in conviction. That's not how we're meant to live. God has given each of us a personal assignment, a purpose that is tailor-made, hand-woven, and marked with his fingerprints. It's not always glamorous, it's not always loud, it doesn't always come with recognition or applause, but it is sacred and it is yours. You were entrusted with it, not someone else, and if you don't carry it, no one else can carry it for you. But comparison will talk you out of it. It will whisper things like, you're behind, you're not enough, you missed your moment, look at them. They're younger, smarter, more successful. And if you're not grounded in truth, you'll believe those lies. You'll start running a race that was never meant for you. You'll waste energy trying to outpace someone who isn't even on your path, and all the while, your own garden, your own gift, wilts from neglect. The saddest part is, most people never realize how much they've lost to comparison until years have passed. They look back and see all the doors they never opened because they were too busy staring at someone else's hallway. They remember the ideas they abandoned because they didn't seem as exciting as someone else's project. They realize they spent more time observing others than obeying God. Friend, that doesn't have to be your story. You can choose today to stop looking sideways. You can choose to get honest with your heart and ask, what is mine to do? What am I neglecting because I'm too focused on them? What did God assign to me that I've been ignoring because it didn't seem big enough? That's where you start, with honesty, with humility, with a willingness to refocus, because the truth is every calling has a cost, and part of that cost is being okay with not being the most visible. Part of that cost is letting go of the need to be celebrated the way others are. It means choosing obedience over validation. It means trusting that the one who assigned your path also sees it, even when no one else does. There's a peace that comes when you learn to stay in your lane, a freedom that returns when you finally say, I'm not doing this to compete. I'm doing this to complete what was assigned to me. And in that place, your heart can breathe again. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not striving to catch up. You're simply becoming who you were always meant to be. If you're constantly comparing, it might be a sign that you've lost connection with your true source. Because when you're rooted in God's love for you, when you're anchored in His voice, you don't need the applause of others to feel worthy. You don't need the spotlight to feel seen. You don't need to outperform to feel secure. You're already affirmed, already chosen, already known. Comparison thrives in distance. Distance from your identity, distance from your calling, distance from God. But when you draw near again, the lies start to fade. You begin to remember what's real. You remember that someone else's success is not your failure, that their progress doesn't cancel out your purpose, that what God has for you is for you, and no one else can take it. So take a deep breath, turn your eyes back to your own field. There's work to be done there. There are seeds only you can plant. There's fruit only you can grow. Don't let envy rob you of your harvest. If you're waiting for a sign to let go of comparison, this is it. Turn off the noise, close the app if you need to, stop checking on them and start checking in with Him. Recommit to your own journey, return to your own pace. Reignite your own passion and trust deeply that what God started in you, He will finish, but only if you stay the course. You are not behind. You are not in competition. You are not forgotten. You are chosen for a path so specific, so holy, that no one else on earth can fulfill it but you. Don't miss it because you are too busy watching someone else live theirs. Time is one of the most misunderstood gifts we've been given. It's quiet, constant, and relentless. It doesn't ask for permission to pass. It doesn't slow down when we're not ready. It doesn't pause when we're distracted. It just keeps moving day after day, moment after moment, and in that movement, it offers us something sacred, a chance. A chance to grow, a chance to obey, a chance to become, a chance to build something that honors God and transforms us from the inside out. The truth is, God never wastes time, never, not a second, not a season. Not a struggle. If He allows a year to unfold in your life, He has already placed within it the opportunity for growth, purpose, and transformation. Nothing is random in the hands of a sovereign God. Even your most confusing seasons are not wasted when surrendered to Him. But while God never wastes time, we often do, and we don't mean to. We don't set out in January saying, I'm going to waste this year. But it happens quietly and subtly in the decisions we avoid, the habits we neglect, the distractions we justify. It happens when we keep saying tomorrow to what we were supposed to start today. It happens when we live on autopilot, numbing ourselves with entertainment, busyness, or comparison, telling ourselves we're just waiting for the right moment to begin. The tragedy of life isn't that it ends too soon, it's that we wait too long to truly live it. You've been entrusted with this year for a reason. You didn't accidentally arrive in 2025. God chose to wake you up today because your life still holds potential. There is still something you're meant to carry, to create, to overcome. But none of that will happen without your participation. God offers purpose, but He won't force you to pursue it. He offers clarity, but you have to seek it. He offers healing, but you have to stop hiding. You can walk through 365 days and come out unchanged. You can fill your calendar and still be spiritually empty. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're drifting. Growth doesn't happen because time passes. It happens because you engage with time intentionally. And if you're not careful, this year can become just another set of blurred memories, missed moments, and half-hearted attempts. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you begin to see time as a holy opportunity, everything changes. You stop asking, how do I get through this year? And start asking, what is God inviting me into this year? That shift in perspective is powerful. It moves you from survival to stewardship. You stop merely existing and start investing. Investing in your mind by reading what challenges and renews it. Investing in your soul by spending time in prayer, not just when you're in crisis. Investing in your body by treating it like a vessel for the assignment God has given you. Investing in your relationships by being present instead of distracted. Investing in your purpose by saying yes to discipline, even when it's inconvenient. There is nothing passive about a fruitful life. It takes effort, it takes focus, it takes intention, and most of all, it takes faith, the kind that believes your daily obedience matters even when no one sees it. Some of us are waiting for a big moment to feel like our year counts. We think, once I get the breakthrough, then I'll get serious. Once the door opens, then I'll commit. Once I feel ready, then I'll obey. But the truth is, the big moments are built in the small ones. The breakthrough is made possible by the quiet, ordinary decisions no one applauds. The open door comes after months of preparation in private. The readiness you're waiting for comes after obedience, not before. So if you want this year to matter, start small and start now. Take inventory. Ask God, where am I wasting what you've given me? Where have I let apathy take the place of action? What am I delaying out of fear, laziness, or comfort? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary ones. Because until you confront what's stealing your time, you'll keep repeating the same patterns, hoping for different results. Let's be honest, we often blame circumstances for the things that are really just choices. We say we didn't have time, when in reality we gave our time to things that didn't matter. We say we're waiting on God, when in truth, God is waiting on us to move in the direction He already confirmed. We say we're just in a season, but some seasons only last because we've stayed stuck in cycles we refuse to break. God is not slow. He is not holding back. He is not confused about your life, but He is patient. And sometimes His greatest act of mercy is giving us another day to wake up and try again. Don't mistake His patience for indifference. Every day you're given is a reminder you still have a choice. You can keep drifting, or you can decide. You can keep scrolling, or you can study. You can keep complaining, or you can change. You can keep numbing, or you can feel. You can keep postponing, or you can plant. You will never get this exact year back again. The time you're living in now, the people around you, the opportunities in front of you, the battles you're fighting, are all part of the curriculum of this year's purpose. Don't rush through it, don't resent it, don't miss it, and even if the year didn't start how you wanted, even if you've already wasted parts of it, it's not too late to shift. God is a redeemer of time. What takes the world 10 years He can do in 10 months, but He doesn't redeem what you refuse to surrender. Hand Him your distractions, hand Him your regrets, hand Him the hours you've misused, and then make the decision, this year will not be wasted on my watch. The future you want is being formed in the decisions you're making today. So ask yourself daily, am I living like someone who understands the value of this year, or am I moving like someone who believes there's always more time? Time is sacred, time is short, time is a gift. God will do His part. Will you do yours? There is a deep difference between being set apart and being cut off. But if you're not careful, you'll confuse one for the other and miss what God is doing in your life. Isolation is not the same as separation, and understanding the distinction between the two can change how you walk through some of the most pivotal seasons of your life. Let's be honest, we all go through times when we feel alone. When it seems like no one truly understands what we're carrying, when the people who used to be close suddenly drift, when our circle shrinks, our phone grows silent, and our once busy lives become uncomfortably quiet. In those moments, it's tempting to believe something is wrong, that we've been forgotten, that we've fallen behind, that we're being punished, that something must be broken. But what if you're not being abandoned? What if you're being separated? See, isolation is when you retreat out of fear, pain, bitterness, or shame. It's when you shut the door on people because you're tired of being hurt, tired of being misunderstood, tired of being disappointed. It's when you start building walls instead of bridges, and it feels like safety at first. It feels like control, but over time it becomes a prison. You start hiding from community, from accountability, from love itself. You convince yourself you're better off alone, when in truth your soul is starving for connection. That's isolation, and it's dangerous. It was never God's design for you. We were made for community. For relationship, for iron to sharpen iron, but separation, true divine separation, is something else entirely. It's not fueled by fear, but by purpose. It's not marked by bitterness, but by calling. It's not about hiding from the world, it's about being prepared to change it. Throughout Scripture, we see this pattern again and again. Before elevation comes separation. Before public impact comes private development. Before breakthrough comes the breaking away. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before leading Israel to freedom. Joseph was thrown in a pit and sold into slavery before stepping into the palace. David was anointed as king while still tending sheep in a field no one noticed. Jesus himself spent 40 days alone in the wilderness before stepping into public ministry. Separation is sacred. It's the space where God refines you, where he teaches you to hear his voice without the noise of the crowd, where he strips away the opinions, the approval, and the applause that once defined your sense of worth. It's where you learn to be enough in him, before the assignment ever begins. But here's the tension. Separation often feels like isolation, because both can be lonely, both can be quiet, both can look like loss. But the difference lies in the fruit. Isolation leads to disconnection, confusion, and stagnation. Separation leads to clarity, alignment, and transformation. One causes you to shrink, the other causes you to stretch. When God begins to separate you, it can feel like subtraction, but it's actually preparation. He removes what you thought you needed so he can show you what you truly carry. He slows your pace so he can strengthen your roots. He closes certain doors, not to punish you, but to redirect you toward what's eternal. But you have to be careful not to resist the separation. Some of us are so uncomfortable with being alone, we rush back into old circles, old habits, and old distractions just to avoid the silence. We fear the quiet seasons because they expose the parts of us that still need healing, so we fill them with noise, with people, with activity, never realizing we're running from the very thing that was meant to set us free. If you're in a season where it feels like people are fading, opportunities are quiet, and God has pulled you into what feels like obscurity, don't panic. Don't let the enemy convince you that you've been forgotten. God is not done with you. He's just developing you. There are things he can only teach you in the quiet, things that will sustain you when the doors open, when the platform grows, when the weight of responsibility increases. And if you skip this season, if you fight it or numb it or rush it, you'll step into your next level unprepared. Let God finish what he started in you. Use the separation to build, to listen, to heal, to grow, to become. Read the word with fresh eyes. Pray not just to speak, but to listen. Journal the lessons. Ask the hard questions. Let God excavate the parts of you that are still rooted in pride, insecurity, people pleasing, or fear. Let him reset your foundation, because what's coming next will require it. And when you begin to feel the loneliness creep in, as it will, remind yourself, I'm not isolated, I'm separated. I'm not forgotten, I'm being formed. This is not a delay, it's development. I am not hidden from purpose. I'm being hidden for purpose. You're not the only one who has walked this path. Every person used mightily by God had a wilderness season. Every voice that now leads others once had to learn to lead themselves in silence. Every warrior had to train in secret before stepping into battle. Don't despise your hidden season. Don't let social media or the highlight reels of others convince you that you're missing out. What God is doing in you now is not meant to be broadcast. It's meant to be built deep, so it won't break when the storms come. There will come a time when the separation ends, when the doors begin to open. When the right people show up, when the vision becomes clearer, and when that moment arrives, you'll step into it with a strength and stability you couldn't have gained any other way. But for now, if this is your season of separation, lean into it. Don't isolate, don't withdraw from God, from wise counsel, or from the disciplines that keep your heart aligned. Instead, draw near, be honest, be still, be teachable. Let the separation do its work. And when it's time, you'll rise, not because you forced it, but because you were faithful. So if you're in the middle of quiet, in the middle of silence, in the middle of stillness, hold steady. You're not alone. You're in the hands of a God who knows exactly where you are and exactly what he's doing. And what he starts in separation, he finishes in power. Most people think self-love is about comfort, about ease, about bubble baths and feel good affirmations, but real self-love, the kind that transforms your life and aligns your spirit, isn't soft. It's strong. It's not always soothing. It's often stretching. Because true self-love doesn't just say, I want to feel good today. It says, I care enough about who I'm becoming to do what's hard today so I can thrive tomorrow. And that kind of love speaks one language fluently: discipline. Discipline is not a punishment, it's not the enemy of freedom, it's the foundation of it. Every time you choose to do what's right over what's easy, you are loving yourself at a higher level. Every time you deny the urge to quit, to procrastinate, to coast, to indulge, or saying, my future matters too much for me to betray it today, that is not restriction, that is respect. In a world where everyone is chasing comfort, discipline is a revolutionary act of self-respect. It's not glamorous, it won't always be applauded, but it builds something that feelings never can: character, because discipline isn't about doing something once. It's about showing up again and again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, discipline doesn't wait for motivation, it moves on commitment, and that commitment comes from knowing that your life, your calling, your health, your purpose are worth the effort. The flesh doesn't like that kind of talk. It wants the shortcut, the sugar, the scroll, the applause without the process, the reward without the resistance, but the spirit knows better. The spirit understands that anything of lasting value takes cultivation. Your gifts need sharpening, your mind needs renewal, your soul needs alignment, and none of that happens by accident. It happens through discipline, reading when it's easier to binge, praying when it's easier to worry, eating what fuels you when your cravings scream for comfort, working the vision when no one's watching, saying no to what steals your peace even if it's popular, saying yes to the hard thing because growth lies there. That's love, that's honor, that's maturity, and let's be clear. Discipline isn't about being rigid or robotic. It's not about striving to earn your worth. You're already loved by God, already seen, already chosen. But discipline is how you respond to that love, how you steward it, how you say thank you, not just with your words, but with your walk. God gives grace, but he also gives you the responsibility to manage your life, to guard your gates, to tend your temple, and to make choices that align with the destiny he's placed inside you. He won't force you to rise, he invites you to, and discipline is your RSVP. You don't drift into alignment. You choose it daily. Discipline trains your emotions to follow truth, not lead it. It keeps you rooted when your feelings are trying to toss you like waves. It builds spiritual stamina, mental clarity, and emotional resilience. And it doesn't always look profound. Often it looks ordinary, quiet, repetitive, boring even, but don't confuse quiet with ineffective. The person you admire most, the one who walks with wisdom, peace, strength, and impact, didn't get there by accident. They built it in private with quiet disciplines, with unpopular decisions, with small, faithful steps repeated consistently, because that's the thing about discipline: it doesn't shout, it builds in silence. And then one day the fruit shows up, and what once felt like sacrifice now looks like freedom. Discipline says, I can delay gratification because I trust what's coming is greater than what's convenient. It says, I love myself enough not to give myself everything I want in the moment. It says, I won't let short-term urges destroy long-term peace. If you've struggled with discipline in the past, don't shame yourself. Shame never produces lasting change. But do be honest. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself when I choose ease over effort? Who am I becoming when I keep breaking the promises I make to myself? Because that's the hidden cost of indiscipline. It erodes your confidence. Every time you say, I'll do it, and don't, you teach your heart that your word can't be trusted. But when you show up, even imperfectly, you rebuild that trust. You remind yourself, I keep my word, I follow through. I value myself too much to live in cycles that dishonor who I am becoming. This is especially important in a year like 2025. When distractions are louder, attention is currency, and discipline is rare. You don't need more noise, you need focus. You don't need more information. You need application. You don't need more hype. You need habits. Small, steady, spirit-led habits that anchor your day in truth, not trends. And don't forget, discipline is a fruit of the spirit. It's not just willpower. It's not just grit. It's grace-fueled strength from within. You don't have to do this in your own strength. You can invite the Holy Spirit into your routines, your morning decisions, your late-night temptations, your moments of fatigue. Ask Him, train me, Lord, shape me, help me live in a way that honors the purpose on my life. Discipline is how you love your future self. It's how you serve your calling before it even manifests. It's how you prepare for what you prayed for. It's not about being perfect. It's about being faithful. It's about showing up, even when the progress is slow, even when no one claps, even when you feel like giving up. Because the real reward of discipline isn't just in the results. It's in the person you become along the way. You become someone who can be trusted, someone who's anchored, someone who doesn't just chase moments, but builds momentum, and that kind of person doesn't just survive the year. They shape it. So the next time you're tempted to slack off, to quit early, to compromise, pause and remember, discipline is love in action. It's saying, I care too much about the life God gave me to waste it. It's not punishment. It's preparation for what's coming, for what's yours, for what's holy. Love yourself enough to be disciplined, because the life you're building depends on it.